So I'm actually going to look to swap out into my Groudon now that he is in Fire Punch range, and we actually simultaneously swapped out. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Ox here with another video. If you're new to the channel, we do upload Pokemon Go content mostly related to PvP, so please consider subscribing to the channel if that is of interest to you. And if you're a returning subscriber like Jeff Rhodes, thank you for the support. So today marked the return of the Great League as well as the Master League for the Go Battle League in Pokemon Go, and I've decided that I'm going to play the Master League. Now at this point last season I did try to do some Master League battles, however the queue times were absolutely horrific, so I was not able to do them until very late in the season. This time, you know, we're sitting at veteran rank 2700, so queues should be a bit more manageable. In this set we do manage to hit expert rank with this team that I featured last season, consisting of Groudon and Melmetal and then Dialga. Now personally I do prefer having Mewtwo on this team, however I think Mewtwo operates better as a safe switch with Shadow Ball, and I just don't have the cojones to be elite TMing my Mewtwo to Shadow Ball, so maybe I'll build a second one. But I do think the team could still work with Focus Blast Mewtwo, but as a safe switch, especially because of how weak this team is to Giratina Origin for example, you do really want to be running Shadow Ball on the Mewtwo. Now Dialga of course will provide better coverage for that Giratina matchup, however it is a little bit dependent on winning the lead. If you win the lead with this team, it's pretty good alignment after, but there are some core breakers that really give problems to this team. Specifically Landorus is probably one of the worst to run into. Landorus has a really good match against the whole team, and even Groudon is very difficult, especially if it gets aligned to your backline and you've lost your own Groudon already early in the matchup. It's pretty hard to come back from that. So it is a fun team to use. It has had success in the past, and I think it is capable of winning some games. However, it does have some weaknesses which do limit its potential. If you guys enjoy this content, please consider leaving a like. It really helps the channel grow. Leave a comment in the comments section down below. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And without any further ado, let's jump into the first battle right now. Alright, so let's jump into the battles right here. We're leading Groudon, got Dialga and Melmetal in the back. Safe switch will be dependent on the lead. Stimpy 92 in the first matchup. So we got Groudon into Melmetal, and let me just say beforehand, a lot of these matches were pretty favorable leads, which is going to help us of course in winning and reaching expert rank. Melmetal swaps out here into Dialga, so at this point I could just go straight hard counter into my own Melmetal, but I decided to build up to close to an Earthquake and throw a Fire Punch. Probably should have built up for Earthquake. I'm hoping to get the shield here, which I do, and now I bring in the Melmetal here. Now because I swap out late, there is the possibility of the opponent switching out and using the clock to their advantage. However, I'm hoping to prevent that, so I do let this Thunder go through here. I'm going to build up for 2 superpowers. Because they already spent 1 shield, very unlikely they're going to want to spend 2 here, so I should be able to win this matchup without burning my own shield. At this point the Dialga is actually in Rock Slide range, so I decided to throw that instead of lowering my own attack and defense once more with another superpower. So Rock Slide KOs. Giratina Origin comes in, so I'm going to throw the Rock Slide here. And this is the one situation where having Dialga on your team is a bit better than Mewtwo, because of course Dialga has a better matchup here. Now we're going to get farmed down, which is not good, but because we do have a shield advantage, this is a lot better for us. I'm going to bring in the Dialga, and then I would expect them at some point to probably try and swap out to Melmetal, or they could stay near Giratina. I'm not going to shield here, going to force them to throw the nuke with Shadow Ball, which they don't. They go for the boost first with Omnis Wind, which fortunately they do not get. At this point I'm not shielding anything here, and I'm looking to get to this Iron Head. They do make an excellent switch into the Melmetal to catch this move. However, their Giratina is low enough at this point where I should be able to finish this game off with the Groudon. Gonna come in here. Melmetal doesn't really threaten Groudon at all. I'm going to throw the Fire Punch here. Remember, I did leave with a lot of energy, so this could be an Earthquake. They do decide to shield that. And now at this point, I just need to build up for the Earthquake here. I actually don't have to spend any shields on this Melmetal here. It has to throw superpowers. Going for Rock Slide isn't going to be doing anything. That allows me to get to this Earthquake, which is going to be enough to knock out the Melmetal. And from this point on, I have 2 shields. Probably just need to get to a Fire Punch at this point against the Giratina. Yeah, so we're going to take that game in convincing fashion there. Pretty much a team comp win there. RakkoInGermany here in the next matchup. So we are going to be leading Groudon into another Melmetal. So you could see the leads are very favorable for us at this point in time. And this time the opponent's staying in a bit longer, probably trying to catch a move. They bring in Giratina Origin, so I'm going to go for the Earthquake here. Again, this is a situation where I could have swapped out immediately into the Dialga Alright, I decided to throw the Earthquake, which actually goes unshielded. I was throwing that there hoping to get a shield advantage. However, letting it go through isn't too bad either. I'm going to let the Giratina do as much damage as it wants to my Dialga here because of course I have a horrible matchup against the Melmetal, so I don't mind getting low in health here. And I'm hoping that I could get to a Draco Meteor here to throw at this Melmetal before getting knocked out, which I am able to do. So probably not going to see a shield come up from the Melmetal here because I had such a poor match against the Groudon, so let that go through. And now Superpower is going to KO. We'll come back with our Groudon and we'll see what their final Pokemon is. And of course, a lot of times Melmetal leads with Dialga means a Dragonite in the back. That is the 2-0 Butters team from a couple of seasons back. In this case, it is a Dragonite. So you can see this team right here has a very good matchup against this particular team. Pretty much hard counters it the entire way through. So it's pretty nice to do that. It is also a double steel team on the other side. Both of these teams are double steel, just different arrangement in the order of the Pokemon. Going for the rock slides here. The main thing you want to do in this match for this Dragonite is get the shields down. You want to ensure that this Dragonite wastes all of its shields because they will probably at some point try to catch one of the rock slides onto their own Melmetal, or they'll just try to leave with energy stored on the Dragonite. But either way, this is a pretty solid matchup here for us, and we are in a great position. Groudon onto Dragonite is horrible. Dragonite completely walls Groudon, so you want to avoid that at all costs. If this game was reversed and there was a Dragonite lead into Groudon, it might have been a lot different. You can see I was expecting the switch there, so a simultaneous swap to catch the move from the Melmetal here, save our shield, and basically it could superpower me as much as it wants to. It's not going to be doing anything, especially with each one doing less. And now I could farm down because they did lower their defense. Fire Punch going to come through on this Dragonite. Not doing much, but it should be enough to put it in knockout range from here. One Mud Shot is enough. We take that game. We're off to a 2-0 start here. Let's jump into match number 3. Going up against TherapistTony. And we're going to be leading Groudon this time into Dialga. So another positive lead. However, this matchup isn't as dominant as the Melmetal one. Of course, Dialga still does a lot of damage, and if you go straight Earthquake 2 times, they could end up winning the match if they shield. So they swap it onto Mewtwo to catch the move, and they let it go through, which is huge because now I come with Dialga. I'm actually able to farm down before it gets to a move. Even if it did, it would only be a side strike, so this is an excellent matchup for me. The opposing Dialga is going to throw an Iron Head here, so no real point to shield here, and I do have 2 great counters for this Dialga anyways. I should actually be able to win this matchup here, so I'm going to throw the Iron Head. They let that go through, and best case scenario, we're able to farm down before they get to another move, which we did manage to do there, and they have a Groudon in the back. So this is actually a bit of a challenge here because my only answer for Groudon is my own Groudon, so it's important that I get the shield here with the Iron Head, and now we get farmed down, which isn't good. So I kind of want to see this opposing Groudon dump its energy, so for that reason I'm actually coming in with Melmetal. It is a horrible matchup for us, but I want to get this Groudon as low as possible to make the matchup easier for my own Groudon, and I also want to maintain a shield advantage here. So I think making the opposing Groudon throw its energy is pretty important here. I'm going to go for the Superpower. This still does quite a bit of damage to the opposing Groudon. I didn't manage to get an excellent, which is a little bit unfortunate, and we should get knocked out here from a Fire Punch. So I'm actually going to let this go through and then come in with my own Groudon, and from this point on I should be able to win by just going straight Fire Punch while shielding the opponents. So not going to take any chances here, just going to shield the first one. They do bait us, which isn't optimal, and I am going to build up for this Fire Punch here, which should definitely get the shield, and depending on how quickly they throw here, I'll decide whether or not to go for Earthquake or Fire Punch. At this point, they're pretty much in Fire Punch range, so I actually decided not to shield here because I was anticipating a Fire Punch. Very risky play, of course, but as you can see, they do get to a second move. If they were able to actually get to an Earthquake, then that would have been a good call on my part. However, I was pretty confident that wasn't an Earthquake, so I did let it go through, but definitely a risky play there, and probably not recommended, but we do take that game. We're off to a 3-0 start here, facing pretty positive leads so far, especially the first 2 matchups. Miro0917 here in match number 4, and we're going to be leading Groudon into a Ho-Oh, so here it is. A very difficult lead, not only for Groudon, but for pretty much this entire team. So I swap out into Dialga here, and I'm going to go for the Iron Head immediately here. And let's see if the opponent's going to choose to shield this up. This is a bad matchup for Dialga. However, if we do decide to use 2 shields, it is manageable. So I think right here, I kind of made a misplay. I don't know why I let this go through. I was hoping that it wouldn't KO, but of course it is going to. So big mistake there. And now I'm kind of in a tricky spot because even if I come with Melmetal, they have the option to switch out because I am switch locked in for so long. So it's very important that I did shield there with Dialga. That was definitely a misplay on my part. And now I'm forced to burn another shield here on this Ho-Oh. We're going to go off this Rock Slide with CNP tie, which should be enough to knock out the Ho-Oh, I believe, from this range. Yes, it is. And they come in with Giratina Origin. So this is kind of where I needed that Dialga. And this is a pretty tough match. At this point, I'm actually kind of convinced that they did have a Dialga in the back. So I was thinking maybe I could come with Groudon. They're not going to swap out. And maybe if I could somehow get this match to the point where I have Melmetal onto Dialga in the back, I could pull out the win. Because I was very confident they had Dialga at this point. So the only way I can win this has to be an Ominous Wind. And I need to land the Earthquake here or get the last shield or something. It's a Shadow Ball, so another... Well, I guess it's not really a misplay, but just, you know, hoping for the bait and not getting it. It's going to happen sometimes. You have to take those chances. Didn't work in our favor. And we were going to actually end up losing this. So at this point, the game's pretty much over. And if it's Shadow Ball KO, opponent hasn't been baiting yet. So I decided shield. And of course, this time they do bait. So opponent just completely outplayed me in this matchup. So very well played by the opponent here. Definitely deserving of this win. And as you see, it is in fact a Dialga in the back. So we were correct about the team comp here, but it was still a very difficult lead to come back from with the Ho-Oh there, and not too much we could... I guess there might have been some sort of win conditions in there somewhere, but we didn't play it very well either. But the opponent played it very well. And here we got HomeSliceHenry in the final match of the set. And let me just take a second here to shout out HomeSliceHenry the way he deserves to be shout out. HomeSliceHenry, awesome content creator on YouTube, definitely runs a lot of spice and manages to win consistently with it. So a link up here to his channel. Definitely go check him out if you haven't already. Top tier content from HomeSliceHenry, and it is a privilege to be able to battle him in this Go Battle League battle right here. We got an Excadrill lead. This is a very positive matchup for us, of course. Fire Punch doing a lot of damage, and he swaps out into a Giratina. So we come out with Dialga. This is looking like hard counter city right now. So, you know, apologies to Henry. Like, of course, the game's not over yet, but it's looking pretty rough right now that I'm hard countering him like this. So I'm just going for the Iron Head here. And we're going to farm down the Giratina from this point. Of course, Excadrill is going to come back in, so it's not a positive matchup for me to be in after. So I just want to get rid of this Giratina. And my hope is that I could build up for a Draco Meteor here and throw that at the Excadrill, but I got a little bit scared towards the end. Wasn't sure if I'd make it, so I decided to just go for Iron Head here. Now, it is pretty hard to keep count Dragon Breath, so I was hoping for a shield. He does not shield, so that is an amazing call on his part right there. And now I'm going to come back in with Groudon. Gonna get hit by the Drill Run here. It's not going to KO, so no point to really shield here. It does do quite a bit of damage, but you can see we're still in the green. Swaps out into Dragonite, and here comes the Melmetal. So it is in fact hard counter city. Now when I was looking at this team, I was trying to think what he might have in back. I was thinking maybe Togekiss, could be Dialga. Dragonite also makes a lot of sense here because it is a very strong counter to something like Groudon, for example. So just a bit unfortunate for Henry that we do pretty much hard counter this line here. And like I said in one of the earlier matches, what you want to do is get these shields from this Dragonite as quickly as possible. A little bit of lag right there, but it doesn't seem like it affected too much. Gonna throw the Rock Slide here, which definitely would KO this Dragonite at this point. And I'm gonna throw a second one, which should get the second shield. Now at this point, what I'm thinking is that he's probably building up a lot of energy here. So I'm actually going to look to swap out into my Groudon now that he is in Fire Punch range, and we actually simultaneously swapped out. So I am going to be able to throw this Fire Punch at the Excadrill, which will knock it out. And then I should be able to get to one more Fire Punch here against the Dragonite. Thing here is if he wants to knock out this Groudon, he has to go for the Outrage or the Hurricane. So the Nuke move, going for Dragon Claw, won't KO. So I could just save both the shields for the Melmetal, and that will allow me to get to the Rock Slide because my Melmetal still has enough health. And we're going to be able to knock out the Dragonite here with the Fire Punch, so we take that game. So massive shout out to Henry once again. Thank you for the battle, and sorry for the hard counter right there. But we do manage to go 4-1 in this set overall, which is enough to bring us up to expert rank for the season. So those were the battles with this double steel line featuring Groudon in the lead. Now it is a somewhat risky team to play, however it does have good matchups if you run into Dialga teams. There are the core breakers like Landorus. Excadrill is also pretty hard for this team if it's in the back. Fortunately for us, we did see it in the lead in these battles, so team performed pretty well, but over the next couple of sets there were some hard matches that we ran into, as well as some pretty brutal queue times, so might make that the next upload, going over some of those battles, learning from mistakes and just dealing with losses in general. With that said, the queue times do get a bit brutal once you reach expert ranks, so as much as I like Master League, I might be diving back into the Great League for future content. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.